सो जावास्क्रिप्ट स्टार्ट कर दी थी हमने एंड वी आर गोइंग थ्रू इट। सो आप अभी कहाँ पे हो फ्रंट एंड कोर्स में?
I'm in calculator project, sir. JavaScript calculator project.
ऑल राइट, ओके। सो कैलकुलेटर लाइक DOM and that things you are
Yes,
using.
sir. Yeah, object model. Yes.
All right. All right, so what we'll do is we'll try to reach there. So most probably, I guess in the session we have done till objects, okay? Like cloning of objects. So we'll proceed through that, and maybe we will be starting DOM today, so we can like see how to build calculator or alarm clocks and other applications using JavaScript. Okay.
Okay, sir.
All right. So let's take a minute. I will just drop a message in group, and then we can begin. All right. I will share my screen, and let's see what we have for today. And if someone comes, we'll just do a revision. Acha. So last session was about JavaScript is a object-oriented programming language. Now, by that we mean that we have a support for objects. Here, objects mean key value pairs. Okay, so here object means key value pair. So you have, let's say, you create an object, and for that we did have two methods. So either we go with object literal, or we use the object constructor, new object, and we can use that part. So that is a thing. I will quickly open the folder so that we can see. Also, we say that object can also store any type of values. The condition is key should be string, okay, and the values can be anything. It can be boolean, it can be number, it can be any non-primitive data type or any primitive data types. Along with the functions, you can have functions as values. Okay, functions can be stored as values, and even we can have nested object inside a object, so that is also possible. A dot property is one of the way to access any property inside a object. So if there is a key a, obj.a, so we can have something like this. Obj.b, we can have something like this. Now remember, any string can be used as a key over here. Any type of string can be used as a key over here. For in our case, we have something as I am a string. Now we have this array notation because we have spaces, so that we need this array notation. Otherwise, -2 is also there, so we can have any type of values. Values can take any type. There is nothing like there is no restriction. In the case we have a function inside our object, okay, so that is also stored in a key value base. That is also possible. Now, my point is, last thing we were to see is how do we clone objects. Okay, cloning is something different. Okay, cloning is something different, and how it was different is, if I create an object, okay, if I create an object, so let's say I say let new obj, okay, and I create a object. Now for this object I can have any values I want, okay. So let's say 90. So this becomes, this new obj becomes a object with a key a with a value 90, right? Now if I want to clone it, so cloning and copying, okay. Remember, when we talk about object, so cloning is not this. What I'm trying to say is, if I say obj copy, so I want to create an object copy, so I cannot say new obj. Okay, tell me, will obj copy? So this is a new object which have a over here, okay, as 90. Now my point is, if I do something like this, so tell me, is this a also available in this object copy or not? Do we still have the object copied? So this is the object which has a key A, and obj copy is equals to new obj. So tell me, do we have this A in object copy also?
No, sir,
All,
because
yeah, yeah.
new object reference will be in that variable, object copy variable.
Okay, so since you have
Address,
take,
new object
hmm,
address.
okay. So since you are saying reference, so tell me, if I change the value of A in new object, so will it reflect in the other one?
Which one you will change, sir?
So I'm saying that new obj dot A, if I say it 80, okay, I've changed the value of A. So will the value of obj copy dot A also change?
No, sir.
Are you sure? You just said this is a reference
Uh,
just.
no, it's a address of new object address, sir, not reference.
All right.
The address
So
of new object will be stored
mhm.
in the object copy.
Okay, it means it will also reflect the changes, right?
Uh,
Right.
uh, uh,
Yeah. So you are just saying that it is another reference. Okay. So there is no separate
yes,
memory created. Okay. It is just referring to the same address. So that is why
yes,
it is happening. Guys, I hope this part is clear at least, right? This is happening for the object. Okay. Remember, if we use any other one, okay, see this. So if I say BC is equals to 90, and all right, okay. So if you say BC is equals to 90, and if I say let CA is equals to 80, okay, या फिर CA is equals to BC. So tell me, if I do CA is equals to 80, okay, if I so BC is equals to 90, CA is equals to BC, okay. So if I change the value of CA, so will the BC also change?
no, sir.
Yes, it will not change. So because here it is not copying the reference, here it is creating a separate memory location, right? And to store the primitive values. So primitives and non-primitives act differently. Okay. Acha, you can understand something like whenever we say object like this now, so it is just a new name for my object. Otherwise, inner content is same. No new memory has been allocated. But that is case of object. In case of primitive values, number string boolean, so it will change. Okay. So if you assign something, so it will take the value, not the reference. I hope this point is clear. That is why that is why we have three techniques to clone an object. Cloning means if I want the properties, what are these properties? The first way to clone an object is the spread operator. We call this as the spread operator. Obj is an object, right? Obj is an object with these properties. Okay? With these properties, it is an object. These three dots you see now, these three dots signify pro- properties of object. How does this work? Okay, let me open this file. Just a quick revision before we move to our next topic. So we did this in the last session, okay? So just a quick revision for you guys because it is a bit important. The point is, if I see obj now, let's just start obj. Hi Rajat.
Hello, sir.
Hi. All right. So today we are going to do iteration on object. Okay. Just a quick revision of what we did in the last session. Okay. All right. So the cloning part we did is we cannot directly say clone obj equals to obj because it will not create a separate memory location. I'm saying that obj is an object with all these properties. Okay. Acha, one more thing, guys. Either you assign properties one by one, या फिर आप ऐसे भी कर सकते हो. You see this one, like line number 21 and 22. So you can like give curly braces and do this. So this is also good. ठीक है? So you can prefer any way you want. My point is, um, obj is here. Then we have the, what is the name? So it is saying clone obj, right? So clone obj. Or if I show you something, so I can do something like this also. Triple dot is spread operator. Spread the properties. Okay, spreading the properties. Remember, you cannot do something like this. You cannot do something like this. One more thing. If I talk about arrays, which we have already done, 1, 2, 4, 5. Spread operator works here also. How does it work? You can do triple dot array, and you can create a clone of array also. The catch is you cannot do something like this. You cannot do something like this. Although it is done, but okay. So let me show you something. Why I'm telling this. Okay, let's try to do the reverse one. Okay, so let's try to do the reverse one. All right. See, so this is what I'm telling you guys. Okay, one more thing. Why did this happen and it is not happening? Anyone remembers about array? Why is this possible? And sorry, why array can be iterable in an object, but the second one is not possible? Object is not fitting in the array. Any guesses?
Because of index, sir.
All right. How many of you remember that we said that key array is also an object? Do you guys remember that part?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Remember, array is also an object. Array is a subset of object. Array is subset of object. So if I say type of, which tells the type of the the elements. Okay. So if I say type of number, so it will give me number. Okay. If I say type of boolean, so it will throw me a boolean. When I say type of array, array is array, but it is saying object. So arrays are a special kind of object. So this is possible. Array to object conversion is possible, but object to array conversion is not possible. We will see why it happens. Do you guys know about subset? Subset from maths, like what is subset, universal set and subset kind of thing. So if you know that part, so object is a bigger picture and array is a small part. So that is why array is going to object, because that's the object. But object cannot be array. So this is the reason. All right. So this is one way to clone object. Okay. Cloning happens with the spread operator. So we have obj and we have clone obj. So this is one thing. Now clone obj dot a. So changes here will not reflect the other one. Okay, so clone obj a key value is 87, whereas obj a key value will be whatever it is. So this is a true copy of it. First one. Second one we had is object dot assign. This is important. Okay, this is important because it is using object constructor. This is already predefined object constructor in JavaScript. Okay, so remember this part. Now obj is here and clone obj dot one. How does this work? So object dot assign method. Okay. Object dot assign method. Let's see this method. Capital O object is called as the constructor. Okay. Capital O object is the constructor which is already available inside JavaScript. It throws a empty object, or you can say object. It has prototype which we'll study later. My point is object dot assign method returns a new object. It asks for a target object. Target object can be any existing object also or any new object also. Sources. Sources means what object properties you want here. So you want properties of array, or you want properties of object, which should be defined. Okay, which should be defined. You can have more than one. So clone obj. Okay, so you can combine. First one is the target object. You want all two properties combined inside the empty one and throw a object to you. When this object is thrown to you, also keys are unique. Keys are unique in object. You cannot have duplicate keys over here. So object.assign also creates a new object, means a clone of it. One thing. The catch here is there is a catch with cloning of objects. I wanted to discuss this one. So clone obj is a perfect clone, which I just said, but there is a catch. Clone obj has a nested object inside it, and that object has a key A. How did we get this nested object? Obj dot nested obj. It has a property. Tell me if I put a is equals to 30. So clone obj dot nested object dot a is equals to 30. Now my question to you guys is, since this is a clone of the obj, will the nested object value of obj will be changed or it will not change? Will the value of nested object change? For a we have seen, for primitive we have seen that it is not changing. Okay, because it's a clone, it doesn't matter if you change the other one, it will not change because it's a clone. But I'm talking about nested object property. So will the original object property change? Yes, it will change. And why it will change? Any guesses? Anyone wants to explain why it is happening? You'll say, sir, you did the cloning, so why is it not working? Any guesses why it is not working? This is a shallow cloning. There is no deep cloning. Are you guys getting the point? Shallow cloning means just one level deep, primitive objects. Nested objects are two level deep, object inside object and then property. Are you guys getting my point?
Yes, sir.
ठीक है. सो ऑब्जेक्ट की रेफरेंस ही है. ठीक है, ऑब्जेक्ट की रेफरेंस ही कॉपी हुई है. It is not. And what about these? So these are primitive ones, so they will have a separate one. Okay, so I hope you guys are getting the point. A bit of depth, but yeah. uh, what is the solution here? What is the How can we do deep cloning? Object inside a object, how can we do a deep cloning? Any guesses, any ideas? Okay, guys, we know about the recursion, right? A recursion says make a call and then again make a call and then go till we find a base case. So can I say if I have 10 level nested object, okay, I can check the type of my property and make a recursive call for copy. If it is again, I will make one more recursive call till I find my base case will be, if till I find a all my keys are primitive. That will be my base case, and I can return a new object. Can I use a recursion for deep cloning? How many of you are getting my idea? What I'm saying? What does recursion do? Like recursion say call on this one, so you will get one more. So you will call recursion on this to say, return you a copy. Again, you make a call to recursion. It will again throw a copy to you. Are you guys getting the idea? Okay. Uh, See about it. We have a experimental method. Okay, you can find it like in Mozilla documents. There is still like we do not have that method. Is still we are like people are searching for deep cloning. But yeah, this is till now we do not have any function for deep cloning. Okay, so this is one part. I hope you guys are clear with these two methods: a spread operator method and object dot assignment. The third one and the important one, which I'm trying to like discuss today, and just pay attention. So there is something called as JSON. Anyone knows about JSON? What is JSON? What do we mean by JSON? Okay, JSON is JavaScript object notation. I will share a document with you guys because that's a bit important. So okay, so JavaScript object notation is a lightweight data interchange format. It is easy for humans to read and write. It is easy for machines to parse and generate. It is based on the subset of JavaScript programming languages, EMCA. ECMAScript, we call it the JavaScript. Okay? So let me share this with you guys. Please go through it. It is a bit important one. We'll need this in backend also when we study Node.js. So my point is, go through it. Okay? I will give some basic idea. OBJ is a object like our original object. Creating a clone of it. So creating a clone of it. New obj is equals to new obj1 is equals to new obj1 is equals to json dot stringify. Now this stringify method says that I can string a object. How is that possible? How can we convert an object to a string? Let's see that part. So new obj1 we say, you can see that this my complete object has been converted into a string. This complete object has been converted into a string. Remember, this string should be valid. Okay? We shouldn't edit any JSON by our hands. Okay? Because that will make it invalid. I will show one example to you guys. But before that example, I want to show you something. JSON is used to share data. ठीक है? ये क्या कर रहा है? Like it is saying that lightweight data interchange format. Data interchange means it happens whenever a client sends data to server. Who is client? Who is server? Any example from you guys? Who is a client? Who is a server? Guys, we use it every day. Just I need a single example of client and server.
When we browse, we are the client. If we type any google.com,
Mm-hmm.
so we are the client and we will browse with server called Google server. So they are the browse.
All right. Yes, very correct. Yeah, that is the point. So client and server, whoever needs data is a client. Whoever needs data is a client. Whoever is serving the data is called a server. Server means to return the data based on request. Okay. Now JSON is used to send the data from client to server and server to client. And not just any, it is not dependent on any programming language. It is not just about JavaScript. It is about Node.js, PHP, Java. Okay? Whatever be the backend, whatever be the server, it is used nowadays. Okay? Nowadays it is very famous. We will see database also has this BSON or JSON format of storing data. Okay? Because it is minimal sharing data and requires low network connection. It can work on low latency network also, 2G also. I hope you are getting the point. There is a check over here is I want to see that I want you guys to see that we have a function in our original object, which is func1. Apart from these nested object and the primitive database, we have something called as function1. Now my point is this function1, okay, this function1 is not present in JSON string. This function1 is not stringified. Also, I want you guys to see one more thing. When I convert this back, okay, how do we convert this back? So we have something called as json.parse. We get to convert it like this. So we converted it into back into the object. The point is, we see that we do not have the function anymore. Now, this is one more property of the JSON thing. JSON validate the data. It validate the data. Validation means you cannot share a function over the network because that can be very dangerous. What if a function is having an infinite loop? You ping a server abcd.com and this abcd.com has sent a function to your system, and that system, okay, see my point is, if you ping a server abcd.com, and the work of that function is to run an infinite loop. Okay, do one experiment today. Okay, run an infinite loop in your browser. Anyone have tried that, running an infinite loop in a browser? Okay, just do today, run an infinite loop in your browser. You will see that in no time, 1 or 2 seconds, your browser will hang, and the only way is to restart your system. Okay, you can try it once. So the catch here is JSON.string will remove a function from the original object. Will remove this function from the original object. Okay? And when you stringify and when you again parse it, these are the two methods you need to know: stringify and parse. Convert to string and parse it back to string. So you'll see that you do not have a function here, because sending function from server to client and client to server can be very dangerous. Let's say you have a mischievous friend and he has sent you some like a function which the function has to do is copy files from your machine and send to him. So that is why JSON does not send, like, just does not allow functions because of these things. Also, not even function, only string are shared over the network. Client and server only talk in form of messages, just string, because string are harmless in nature. String cannot harm your machine. Are you guys getting the point? JSON thing. Did you guys get the point or any confusion in this? All right, I will take that as a yes, so it is clear. All right, next part is how do we iterate over this one? Array we already know from other objects. We know about the arrays. Okay, we have for loop, we have for each loop, and guys, please go through this document. I request again. We have everything over here so that it will save your time when you are revising for interviews. Okay, please go through this. Okay, everything is mentioned over here. So for iteration of array, we have for each, map, for in, for each, and map difference. You need to know this one. Okay, for of loop is there. These are the things we have done. Cloning we have done. Nested objects we just discussed. Try it out. Iterating over the objects. Let's do the iteration over the object. How do we iterate over object? How do we see the properties? So we know that we can get the values. Okay, that is not a big concern. My point is there's a function object dot keys. Okay, object dot keys, and you can supply the object over here. When you supply the object over here, it will throw you all the keys in a form of a string, and you can iterate over it. Okay, so you can use a for loop over here. That is like the you can just throwing you array, right? So you can say let I is equals to 0. I hope you are getting a point. And object dot, so capital object, remember Java has also a capital O object where you inherit all the properties, if you remember, guys. How many of you remember that we have a capital O object in Java also?
Okay.
All right. Okay, so you can do something like this. Acha, and you can say obj, and inside the like, sorry, the bracket, you can use the keys, right? So in the bracket you can use the keys. So I can iterate over the keys. So how it will throw me the key is object dot keys. You need to store in an array, right? Let me cut this. Okay, or we already know about the map function. I will do a quick revision for you guys. So this is a map function. Okay, if you have read about map function already, that's good. Otherwise, let's see it. Okay, you can have values over here. Acha, you can have values over here, and you can say obj. Okay, and val over here. Okay, so just learn about map function. Okay, this function is called as arrow function. We'll see what is arrow function in the upcoming class, but yeah, this is how you can get all the properties using object dot keys. First way of iteration over the object. What is the other way? Object dot get own property names. Object dot get own property names. So this is one way. Object dot keys, you pass your object and you run map function over it. Next is, let me make this window bigger. I will clear this one. Next iteration technique is object dot get own property names. Inside this, pass the object and you get the complete array. Okay, get own property names. What is the difference between get own property names and get keys? That is a part of discussion, and you should be asking this question, or maybe the interviewer can ask. Now, what is the difference between get own property names and get, sorry, and object dot keys? So for time being, I will say that object maintain a prototype. What is a prototype? Prototype is a copy of, okay, prototype is another object which holds several important methods. Okay, we'll study in some time. So you see this prototype every time you open a JavaScript object, you will see this prototype. What is this? How this works? How this functions? We'll see. You can, although you can see these functions over the array, but yeah, okay, that will be a separate, complete lecture, different lecture for this thing. So this will give the own keys, own property, not the prototype. We'll discuss it about in detail. Okay. So for now, there's a difference. For in loop, how does this for in loop work? Let's see. So this is the third way to iterate over an object. For in loop. So let I in obj, let I in obj, I'm getting about, let I in obj, and I can say console dot log, and I can simply print it. I not index db. We'll study about browser storage, then we'll discuss what is index db. Okay. What did I do? Acha, so it is printing all the keys. Oh, autocorrect. I keep on correcting autocorrect more than autocorrect corrects me. So these are the values we are having. So this is what we. So these were some things, some way to iterate over an object. Okay. Object dot keys, object dot get and property name for in. Is the iteration part clear, guys? Any issues in this? Issues till now? Any issues? All right. Okay, so let's see the another thing. Acha, I will make a statement. The statement is everything inside JavaScript which is not primitive, is an object. Even the function is object, even the object is object. Function is object, array is object, class is object, and object is anyways object. So everything here is an object. Everything here is an object. And what is the object? Holding key value pairs, properties, values, properties, values. Properties should be string in nature. Values can be any data type. This is the thing. So my next point was how does the behavior of array, how does this behavior of array qualifies, or how array qualifies as an object. Let's see this. Okay, just a small discussion, I will not take much of the time. So my point is, let's say that I have, even we can have a string. In other languages, if you remember, we have to specify the data we are going to store in the array. But that does not happen here. You can have any type of data, any number of time inside the array. Kind of dynamic, no data, no strict data checking. Because, okay, guess, can you tell me when is the data type interpreted in Java? When Java knows that the value is a number, when it knows, anyone can tell? Because neither we see on variables, we have let where const that are not data types, they are mere keywords. Okay, there must be something na JavaScript would. So when JavaScript comes to realize that it is a number or it is a boolean, how many of you know about runtime and compile time? Guys, yeah, Dilip, go on.
Yeah, I think compile time is different in
Okay.
Java and all.
Hmm. Okay, guys, have you observed that when you get a syntax error, okay, that is when the compilation is going on. But have you seen that whenever there is a stack overflow error or time limit exceed was not throwing an error. Did you guys see that part? Time limit exceed, no error was there. It was saying time limit exceed.
Yes, sir.
All right. So do you guys see the difference between these two errors? One is happening before the function is running, and one is running after the function has run. ठीक है. So time limit exceed means runtime error, and syntax error is what is
compile time.
correct. Compile time. Correct, very correct. So that is compilation. Compilation means first the code will be compiled, then it will be running. ठीक है. अच्छा, तो how JavaScript difference? JavaScript, does compilation happen in JavaScript? No, right? That is why we call it a script. Scripting language, interpretation होता है, no compilation. इसीलिए दैट इज़ वाई इट्स का डेटा टाइप इज रियलाइज्ड एट रन टाइम. जब रन टाइम में पहुंचता है हमारा एरे, देन जावास्क्रिप्ट रियलाइजेस अच्छा दिस इज अ स्ट्रिंग, दिस इज अ बूलियन. ठीक है. सो दैट इज वाई इट इज एक्सेप्टेबल. कमिंग बैक टू द पॉइंट, we can do something like this also. Now if I print my array, you can see that 0 1 2 3 4 5 and abc equals to 980. You will say, how is this possible? Array should have an integral index, right? How it can have a string index? This is a valid question, right, guys? Acha, how many elements are there? We have 7 elements, but what is the length? Why so much confusion? Remember, length of array is the maximum integral index. Maximum integral index. That is what the length is. It means that what is the maximum index over here, which is integer?
5.
Correct. So
Sorry, 0 to 5.
that is why the length is maximum integral index. Acha, can I do this? Can I do this?
Yes,
Obviously, we can do this. What is the length now?
98, 91. 91, no? Yes, no?
Oh, light. Yes, you are correct. You are very, very correct. So this is what I want to say you. The maximum integral index. Okay. All right, yes. Because of these things, like it can support a string also. Doesn't it seem like an object? Yes, it is seem like an object. It is an object. Okay. So that is what is array as an object. Now next question is type of one. What is the answer, guys? This is interesting. Type of operator we know. Type of is not a function. Remember, there is a difference between operator and a function. Function we have to call. Operator we do not call. Type of is not a function. It is an operator. Type of की function क्या है? What is the function of type of? We just saw, right? अभी तो हमने देखा. So you have to tell. This is an interview question, guys. Type of one. What is type of one?
Number.
All right. So what is type of one?
Certain type of undefined.
Undefined. Undefined कैसे हो? Take your time. Guys, you are on your machine. आप सब सिस्टम पे हो. Type it in the console and check. कंसोल पे टाइप करके बता दो. If you're on your system. All right. I guess I need to do that. ठीक है. See this. The answer is string. ठीक है. Answer is string. How it is a string? Did it ring any bell? How is it a string? Type of क्या है? Type of 45 is a number, and type of number is a string. So type of number will be a string. Is it clear, guys? Guys, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
ठीक है. अच्छा, टाइप ऑफ इज रिटर्निंग ऑलवेज रिटर्न्स है स्ट्रिंग. ठीक है. और स्ट्रिंग का टाइप ऑफ क्या होगा? स्ट्रिंग. Don't worry, I also got confused in the first attempt, but okay, I just answered it. All right. Now this is we have done. Callback functions. Acha, let's do this. Then we'll discuss about what are callback functions because these are very very important things. We are going to study timing function. Timing function. Next question to you guys is: how many of you know about set timeout, set interval? Because do you guys know about these functions? Set timeout, set interval. Let me quickly create a file till now. Timing function dot html. I will post all these files, okay, on my GitHub repository. If I don't haven't posted yet, I will check it out. I will share my GitHub repository to you guys. Just go through it, the codes and all. Okay, let's see what are timing functions. Okay, timing functions. These are browser supported functions. Browser supported function. Remember, they will not work outside the browser. They will not work outside the browser. They only work inside the browser. Next part is how does they work? Let's see the first function, the first timing function, which is set time out. Set time out. Let me create a function expression. Function expression. I hope you guys are comfortable with function expression. Please tell if you have any doubts. Okay. Function expression. This is a simple function expression. The work of this function will be to print a console and say that time out completed. Only this. That is it. Acha. So set timeout is a kind of timeout timing function. It says that supply the function you want to run. Supply the function you want to run. Supply the time in millisecond. Supply the time in millisecond after which you want to run the function. Supply the function. Supply the time after which you want to run the function. That too in millisecond. Now I want to call this function, but after 5 seconds. Why 5000? 5000 milliseconds means 5 seconds. Okay. How does this work? Let's see. So I will copy the path, open it over here. Let's open this. So you can see that timeout completed was after some time. Did you guys notice the delay, guys?
Yes.
Okay. तो आपने delay notice करा, right? It means that once the page is loaded or this set timeout is hit, it will run after some time. So let's make it 8 seconds so that we realize the. So let's just wait for some time. So you can we observe the delay in the function call. Acha, what is the use? That is a separate point. We'll see what is the use of this. Okay. Now let's just focus on what we wrote. This is a function or function expression. It doesn't matter. Okay. We'll study about these x arrow functions later. Okay. बात करेंगे इसके बारे में. The point is the function over here. I didn't make the call. So who made the call to function expression? I just called this set timeout. ठीक है set timeout पे मैंने call लगाया. I didn't call function expression. Who made this function expression call? Any guesses? JavaScript, right? JavaScript internally is making the function expression call. When a function is run based on certain events, when a function is running based on certain events, ठीक है, those kind of functions are called as, and we are not calling the function directly. When a function is running based on an event, we are not calling it directly. We call it as a callback function. Remember, callback function. Event completes, call this function. When we instruct something like this, we call these kind of function as callback functions. Just like normal function, invoking is different. How do we invoke a function? Is my point for callback function clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
अच्छा, अभी हमने मैप फंक्शन देखा, तो यू सॉ ना वी पास्ड अ फंक्शन इनसाइड इट इन द मैप फंक्शन for looping, and that was also working. So that is also callback function example also. Okay, so that is what callback functions are. I hope you guys are comfortable now. Now, one more function associated with this one before we move to the other timing function. The other function is set timeout, returns us a timeout id. Timeout id. Okay, timeout id is thrown to us, which is a number. Acha, what is the work of this timeout ID? Let's see. So I will do it, let's say 12 second, okay? 12 second, or maybe make it 15. I want to show you guys something. So timeout is this timeout ID we have in our hand. I will, there is a function called as clear, clear time out, okay? Clear time out. It ran, okay? Well, let's try this again. So let me clear this. Okay. This time clear timeout and timeout ID which I had is done. So let's just wait for some time. So we see that the set timeout is not running. Any guesses why it is not running, guys?
We stopped the event, I think.
Yes, correct. We have stopped the event saying that clear timeout. So these are two set of functions: set timeout, clear timeout. Set timeout set the time, set the event, and clear timeout is used to clear it. But before the event happens, are you guys getting my point? Okay. Catch here is, if you miss this timeout ID now, you will not be able to stop it. So this is a good practice that you always store your function inside a timeout ID. Always take the return. It will run without this also. ठीक है, ये इसके बिना भी चलेगा, but that is not a good coding style. We should always be having this. I hope you guys are getting my point. This leads to another timing function. We call it set interval set interval. Any guesses how this function runs?
We specify the seconds, and between those seconds, the event will take place.
All right, so will it be one time or multiple time?
It depends how much we give, how much we actually run.
Hmm.
If you mentioned the event, how many times it should, how many times the event should happen.
All right, yeah, a bit of correct. Okay, let's see that. The set intervals work in a way, again the same thing, no change in the callback function, and pass the function. The first parameter is this, is any, like no difference at all. The second is the timeout. Timeout means, let's say 2 seconds. Okay, 2 seconds. Let's see the effect. Okay, I will comment this set timeout so it does not disturb us. Set interval function expression after every 2 second delay. I will refresh this. Any guesses what is happening?
It is running infinite times. We need to mention how many times it should run as a third parameter. I think.
All right. So the point is, set interval. We mention only the time and the function, and the work of set interval is to run after different intervals till we stop it. How do we stop it? Stop the set interval?
Using clear event, clear
Yes, correct.
putting
There's a pattern, right? Yes, so we have a clear interval also. Okay, let's try that out. So timeout ID again. This is very important for set interval. Set interval has no like you cannot stop it if you don't store this, and it will run in the background of browser. Very important, very important. You should be storing this clear interval. Okay, timeout ID. So as soon as you hit this timeout, you can see that it is stopped. Set interval, clear interval, set timeout, clear timeout. So these are the four set of functions we have. Acha. One last thing for today is like not today, we'll see one more topic, then we'll end our session. If we have some parameters over here, how to deal with that? You'll say sir कुछ ऐसा कर देते हैं समझते हैं. Is it correct or is it wrong?
I think it's wrong, sir, because it's an expression.
Yes, it is not. Yes, it is not correct. Okay, this is wrong because what we are doing here is we are calling the function directly. Are you guys getting the wrong thing here? Why it is wrong? So how do we pass the arguments? That comes after this. Okay, so after this is done, the first one is the timing, second one is this, and these are the arguments. Okay, so you can pass the arguments. Let's see. So I will clear this. Okay, so now we know how to pass this, and let's know like clear this. Okay, so this is how it works. अच्छा. ठीक है, देर इज़ वन मोर ऑफ इट, वी कॉल इट सेट टाइम आउट. ठीक है, वी कॉल इट सेट, सॉरी, सेट इमीडिएट. लर्न अबाउट दिस, ट्राई इट एज अ होमवर्क. ठीक है, ट्राई इट एज अ होमवर्क एंड लर्न अबाउट इट. ठीक है, सो बिफोर वी मूव टू आवर नेक्स्ट टॉपिक, लेट्स मार्क योर अटेंडेंस. Then we move to our last topic for today, which I will talk about date function. I hope you guys will be getting a assignment. The assignment will be regarding like creating an alarm clock. Have you guys got that assignment? Alarm clock? Not yet.
Not yet, sir. Not yet.
All right. So you guys will be getting this, and I hope you have guessed what function you are going to use in that alarm clock. So clicking the hand off clock after every given interval. What function can be used?
In set it down.
Set interval. Yes, very correct. Yes, yes, yes. That's the point. Achal is here. Achal.
Yeah.
All right. So we do not have women. I don't know, guys. Like, um, okay. So if you have any feedback regarding classes, I don't know like why we are having so less attendance, but please try to attend it because now what we are going to study is mostly related to the assignment discussion. Okay. So there's nothing theory going on. Okay. From now on, so it will be very like beneficial to us if we just uh, attend the session so that you guys be on time, don't miss any deadline. Okay, so we are three of here today, sorry, four of including me. All right. Acha. So let's see this idea. How can we have a clock running thing, this kind of things over here? How is this possible? Let's see. You can guide me, but before you guide me, I want to guide you about date functions, not that dating. Date functions. So we have date functions over here. So all right, let me print it. So when we say new date, so there is a date constructor present in JavaScript which holds the information about the date, time, the time zone is here, like what is the offset. Offset means there is a GMT, which is I think, which is the standard time. Okay, maybe it is 00 or something. I'm not remembering to be like precise. But plus 530 minus 530, these are the offset added to the world clock. So there's one clock which is standard. After that, there's an offset added, and every country or international boundaries follow these time. Okay. So for India, it is plus 530 Indian Standard Time. Acha. So these will give you everything. Okay. Hour, minute, second, day, date, and month, and these are the thing we have. How does this work? Is this can be used to create your alarm clock or maybe timer or stopwatch. But my point is, study about this. You have several functions over here. So you can say get date. You will get the date, and I hope you have guessed. You have get seconds to get the seconds. Then you have date dot get time zone, time zone offset. So you'll get the time zone offset, which is a function. So you have to. So this is the time zone offset. Um, why minus 330? 5 hour 30 minutes. So 5 into 60. 5 hour means 5 into 60 minutes. 300 minutes plus 30 minutes, 330 minutes. Okay. That is why offset is there. Acha. Um, one more function is date dot now. Okay. Date dot. Any guesses what is date dot now? So the idea is 1970 January 1. 1970 January 1 is the starting clock of JavaScript. That clock is taken as a standard for JavaScript. Okay. After that, how many millisecond elapsed? This is the total millisecond elapsed after 1 January, 1st January 1970. 1st January 1970 till now, these are the millisecond elapsed. We call it epoch time. Epoch time. Okay. So day dot now will fetch you this. So if you want to know how much time elapsed between two different time intervals, you can do this. Date one is equals to date dot now, and let date two barabar date dot now. Okay, date two minus date one. So 8 second 940 millisecond have elapsed till now. So this is how you can use for alarm clock, timer, okay? So these kind of things, or set like stopwatch. Date has several other functions. I want you guys to have a close look to it so that you can like learn things. Is the date part clear, guys? Date constructor. Any issues in this one till now, or is it
Yes.
fine? Acha. So just a sample clock for you guys. Then we will be done for today. So a sample clock, sample clock. Okay, but before I go for sample clock, a little bit of DOM so that we can have a starting. Now DOM is document object model. Okay, DOM is document object model. How does this work? Is how does this DOM work? Is whatever HTML we see in our page now. For example, okay, we don't have any HTML over here. So let me open this only. Whatever HTML you see here now, JavaScript is used JavaScript is used for in web development. For why do we use JavaScript? What is the major reason, guys?
In order to perform some task
Perform,
using the,
yeah,
yes, using some functions.
okay. So bringing dynamicness in page. राइट?
Yes.
ठीक है, अच्छा।
Dynamic.
यस यस, करेक्ट, वेरी करेक्ट। माई पॉइंट इज कि हाउ डू वी डू दैट? अगर किसी की हेडिंग चेंज करनी है, इफ़ आई वांट टू चेंज द टेक्स्ट, इफ़ आई वांट टू चेंज द स्टाइल, फॉर्मेटिंग चेंज करनी है डायनामिकली, यूज़र इनपुट यूज़र इंटरेक्शन पे कुछ करना है, these kind of things can be achieved by JavaScript. But in order to deal with that, we have something called as document object model. कहने का मतलब कि वॉट एवर एच वी हैव, इसको हम मैप कर रहे हैं जावास्क्रिप्ट में, जावास्क्रिप्ट ऑब्जेक्ट में। डॉक्यूमेंट टू ऑब्जेक्ट मॉडलिंग, डीओएम, डॉम जो बोल रहे हैं, एक डॉक्यूमेंट को एक ऑब्जेक्ट के फॉर्म में मॉडल कर रहे हैं और उस पर हम उस पर वर्क कर रहे हैं। So this is the definition of DOM. Guys, are you getting the point of DOM? Why we call it DOM? जैसे कि हमने कहा कि सारी चीज़ें क्या है जावास्क्रिप्ट में, एवरीथिंग इज डेल्ट विथ ऑब्जेक्ट, ठीक है। सो जावास्क्रिप्ट को अगर ऑब्जेक्ट मिलेगा, इट कैन परफॉर्म सम ऑपरेशन। सो दिस डॉक्यूमेंट इज ट्रीटेड एज अ ऑब्जेक्ट ओवर देयर। अच्छा, दैट इज ऑल्सो, सिंस इट इज अ, वी कॉल इट डॉम ट्री, ठीक है। यू सी दिस नेस्टेड स्ट्रक्चर, एचटीएमएल के अंदर हेड फिर बॉडी, तो एक बाइनरी ट्री, एचटीएमएल हेड बॉडी, हेड के अंदर मेटा टैग, स्टाइल इज देयर, बॉडी के अंदर H1 इज देयर, H1 के अंदर सिंटेक्स लाइक सम स्ट्रिंग इज देयर, स्पैन इज अ फ्लेक्स बॉक्स, सो फ्लेक्स बॉक्स के अंदर div, div के अंदर एक और div, उसके अंदर स्पैन। सो दिस इज सम काइंड ऑफ डॉम ट्री स्ट्रक्चर, nested object kind of thing. Now how does it work is, we have so browser all, and remember DOM is only for browser. Why browser? Because browser is only capable of reading the HTML, ठीक है guys? HTML रीड करेगा, उसी ही तो डॉक्यूमेंट पढ़ पाएगा। There is an object, we call it document. This contains the complete page, ये इस पूरे पेज को कंटेन कर रहा होता है this document, ठीक है। अच्छा, it means that it should be having every element. Yes, it has every element. How is like, let's see that. How can we get the body object? How can we?
So document dot body.
Correct, very correct. So we have something called as document dot body. So we have got the body, right? See this? You see this blue color having document. How do we get head? Same, document dot head. But don't say that how can we get a span, we cannot get a span, okay? So these two are something like special objects, okay? Because a body can sorry, a document can have a single body and single head, that is why these are accessible. How do we access other elements? That is one question. But so give me a minute, guys. Let me drop a message, we have another session. Okay, we'll just put it in 2-3 minutes. Acha. So document.head is something like this. I want to reach a specific element. ठीक है, ऐसा हो सकता है कि in order to bring dynamicness in the sense, you want to change your style, you want to hide it, you want to unhide it, you want to display something else. फोटो है तो फोटो चेंज करनी है, you want to bring a modal. These are the things. How do you do that? You see this inspection tool, this is very useful. You can point it on anything, ठीक है, and it will throw you the time and over. So this is span, okay? How do we fetch this? How do we reach to this element? How do you know that this is the reference? How can we do this? In order to do these kind of things, we have some of the functions. For example, our first function is document dot query selector. Document dot query selector. This is a function which says Supply anything inside this. Query selector is similar to, where did we study selector before JavaScript? We already have studied about selectors. Where did we study?
CSS.
Correct, very correct. We have already studied CSS selectors. This is the same selector. Okay, JavaScript is, see, everything is connected. Okay? That's my point. That's the final statement I can make. Everything is connected. So if you know that part, you know this part. Okay. Acha. Then sir, this is also possible. Yes, this is also possible. You want to get a span, so you'll get a span. But you will say, sir, span are many spans over there. Acha. So for that, I will say we have one more function. We call it query selector all. It will throw me all the span present in the page. Query selector all, query selector. Then you will say, sir, if you are saying that selector, then ID and classes will also work. Definitely they will work. See this class. Let me copy this class. Okay, acha. Let's see this. Document dot query selector. For class, what we use? User
Dot.
dot and the class name. See this, we are exactly doing the same thing which we did in the CSS. Single element or the first element to match. Get this? Otherwise, you fetch all the elements. Just a second, guys. Let me check if this is the same link I have shared to other group, IVA and GVI. IVA and GVI. Okay, anyways, let's wait here till they come. Now, this also works for the, what you can say, like the IDs and all those things. Apart from the query selector and query selector all thing, we have two more methods, some more methods. Not everything will be discussed, but yeah, I will try to get element by get element by ID and get element by class name. Okay, how does this work? Let's see. So you can supply the name. Acha. So remember, we do not, so query selector and query selector all are, these are bit generalized one. जैसा CSS में लिखते हैं वैसे ही इसमें चिपका देते हैं. बट when we say class name, so हमें exactly class name लिखना होगा without the dot or the hash sign in get element by ID. Class name returns a HTML collection which is basically the array, ठीक है, with these class names. ठीक है, so you need, in order to access the element, you have to do something like this. ठीक है, आपको zero पे करना पड़ेगा, like just like you do for a array. So the way to access the element is this. ठीक है, और भी है the tag name thing, but access तो हो गई. What to do after the accessing? There are lots of things we can do over here. One thing is get the inner text, inner HTML, or maybe inner. We can get the inner text and we can set the inner text also. Get the inner text and set the inner text. Just see. Uh, okay, so and that has to be, text has to be in a string. So we can see this 0 0. All right. Shouldn't be doing this, but yeah. So this is what we have. We'll continue with these things. Okay, and we'll meet in the next session with this alarm clock thing, and we'll continue more on DOM. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much.